Have you ever held a coin so ordinary it felt invisible? A coin you've seen 1,000 times, passed between fingertips at grocery counters, dropped into car cup holders, and ignored at the bottom of a drawer. Yet somewhere in America, one of those very coins, a 2013 Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint with no visible mint mark, has become the stuff of legend. Its value? Over $500,000. $500,000. For a coin worth 1 cent on paper, that's the part that sends chills down the spine of collectors and a wave of regret through anyone who's ever dumped loose change into a Coinstar machine. But here's where this story begins. Not with greed, but with curiosity. Because behind every headline about $1 million coin hides something deeper, a mystery about mistakes, survival, and the human urge to preserve what others overlook. In 2013, the United States Mint struck over 3 billion Lincoln 1-cent coins. Most came from 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins, as tradition dictates, bore no mint mark. That absence, the tiny missing P, wasn't an error at all. It was history. For over a century, Philadelphia coins carried no identifying letter, a silent signature of the nation's oldest mint. So how could something so normal become so valuable? It starts with a misstep in perfection. In a handful of those 2013 Philadelphia strikes, something went subtly wrong. A die alignment issue, a doubled design, or in rare cases, an experimental planchet never meant for circulation. These anomalies turned a common coin into a once-in-a-generation rarity, and while billions clinked through vending machines unnoticed, a few exceptional survivors quietly slipped into the wild, waiting for someone with a keen eye and a curious heart to recognize them. Collectors call it the chase. That electric rush of possibility every time you tilt a coin under the light. But there's more to this than die errors and mint blunders. There's psychology. The 2013 Lincoln 1-cent series landed during a strange time in American coinage. Copper had long been replaced by zinc. Collectors debated whether modern cents even deserved attention, and the market tilted toward older, proven rarities. The 1909 SVDB, the 1955 doubled die, the 1943 bronze cent. Yet under that apathy, modern errors were quietly gaining momentum. A few visionaries saw it coming. They understood that scarcity isn't just about age. It's about survival, condition, and awareness. Millions of collectors dismissed the modern series as junk change, but a few began pulling coins with minute variations, die scratches, or subtle doubling. What most ignored, they documented. What others spent, they stored. Then the market shifted. When one pristine 2013 Lincoln cent with an unmistakable doubling pattern, the letters in Liberty slightly ghosted, the date subtly doubled, sold at auction for over $548,000. The hobby's collective pulse quickened. For years, people had joked about the worthless penny. Suddenly, that joke had turned into a headline. Think about it. A coin minted barely a decade ago, still shiny, still modern, commanding the kind of price usually reserved for ancient gold ori or early colonial coppers. It forced the numismatic world to confront a hard truth. Rarity isn't confined to the past. It can be born any day in any minting press, in any small anomaly that slips through human eyes. And that's where this story becomes something bigger, because this isn't just about finding a valuable coin. It's about seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's about looking at what everyone else overlooks and realizing value isn't dictated by what's printed on the surface, but by what's hidden beneath. The modern collector knows this well. The seasoned numismatist studies die varieties under magnification, chases transitional planchets, and reads auction archives like sacred texts. But there's another kind of collector, quieter, more emotional, who collects for legacy. They remember the day their grandfather showed them an old silver dime and said, "Never spend this one." They remember the scent of aged coin albums, the crackle of plastic sleeves, the stories behind each find. For them, coins aren't metal. They're memories that hold the hum of history. And when they hear about a modern 1-cent coin fetching nearly 6 figures, something stirs inside, a spark of possibility. Maybe they too once held such a coin and never looked closely enough. Maybe it's still out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for rediscovery. Let's pause here. Ask yourself, how many times have you handled a 2013 Lincoln cent and thought, it's just a penny? What if one of those coins, one with no mint mark, slightly misaligned, the tiniest doubling invisible to the untrained eye, could change your financial story forever? That's the paradox of coin collecting. The line between ordinary and priceless is thinner than a human hair. Collectors often say, the next treasure won't be in a bank vault. It'll be in someone's pocket. And they're right. Consider the 2013 Philadelphia Cent's journey. It begins in blinding light, a high-speed coining press striking planchets at hundreds per minute. One coin, perhaps struck by a misaligned die, takes on a slightly distorted imprint. It tumbles down the chute with billions of others, bags into rolls, travels across states, and lands in circulation. Maybe it paid for a cup of coffee in Harrisburg. Maybe it fell through a car seat in Chicago. Maybe it sits right now in an old jar beside someone's washer and dryer. Somewhere, an unknowing owner has a 6-figure treasure-gathering dust. There's a haunting beauty to that thought, the randomness of fortune. It reminds us that discovery is still possible, that even in a world of digital currency and instant transactions, tangible wealth can still hide in the smallest corners of physical reality. And that's what keeps collectors searching, not just for profit, but for connection. When you hold a coin, you're holding time, the year it was minted, the history it's witnessed, the hands it's passed through. The 2013 no mint mark cent isn't just valuable because of its rarity. It's valuable because it represents a moment when ordinary Americans unknowingly carried hidden wealth. Proof that miracles don't announce themselves. They whisper. Here's a curious twist. In 2017, the Philadelphia Mint added a small P-Mint mark to commemorate its 225th anniversary, the first time in U.S. history that Philadelphia cents carried that mark. That means the 2013-2016 No Mint Mark series stands as the final stretch of the original tradition, the end of an era that began in the 18th century. So even without an error, even without a doubled die, the 2013 issue marks a symbolic turning point, the last generation of true no mint mark Philadelphia cents. Add an error on top of that, and you have a perfect storm of historical and emotional value. Market analysts say that modern coin values rise and fall with public sentiment, with the stories we attach to them. And stories like this one feed a powerful narrative that everyday Americans can uncover life-changing wealth through attention, patience, and passion. When the $548,000 sale made headlines, online searches for 2013 no mint mark penny value skyrocketed overnight. Coin shops saw new faces. People brought jars of change, and for a brief moment, an old American habit, saving coins, became a new national obsession. That's the invisible currency of the hobby, hope. But let's not mistake hope for hype. True collectors know the difference between chasing a dream and understanding a pattern. The serious investor studies grading reports, mint records, and auction archives. They understand how condition, the subtle gleam of an untouched surface, the absence of contact marks, multiplies value exponentially. An uncirculated 2013 Lincoln cent, preserved in pristine mint state, can be worth hundreds. Add an unmistakable double die or transitional planchet, and you're in the territory of 6 figures. And yet, the beauty lies in the uncertainty. You can't manufacture these finds. You can only recognize them. So, what should you do? Start small. Examine your change under bright light. Look for doubling in liberty, in the date, in the motto, "In God we trust." Study the rim for raised edges or off-center strikes. Compare weights. A genuine copper planchet will weigh slightly more than the standard zinc alloy. Most of all, document what you see. Every major discovery in numismatics began with curiosity and careful observation. Remember, knowledge is the collector's most valuable coin. And if you think all the great finds are gone, think again. Just last year, a modern nickel from circulation sold for 5 figures after a young collector noticed a barely visible planchet error. The market for modern varieties is growing fast, and awareness drives value. The rarities of tomorrow are the overlooked coins of today. That's why stories like the 2013 no mint mark cent matter, not because they promise instant wealth, but because they remind us that fortune favors the observant. In the end, this isn't just a tale of a $500,000 coin, it's a meditation on awareness, patience, and legacy. The Lincoln 1-cent coin, born of the Philadelphia Mint's long tradition, still carries the face of a man who rose from humble beginnings, a reminder that greatness often starts small. A single cent, a single decision to look closer, can reveal a universe of hidden value. Maybe that's the real treasure, learning to see. So the next time you hear the clink of change in your pocket, pause. Tilt that coin under the light. Let curiosity take over, because somewhere in those copper-colored discs lies not just metal but mystery, and maybe, just maybe, a fortune waiting to be found. Most people would never look twice. A 2014 Lincoln cent, the kind you'd find at the bottom of a grocery bag or wedged in a car cup holder. It's almost an insult to call it rare. The U.S. Mint produced more than 4 billion that year alone. To the untrained eye, everyone looks the same. But for those who study American coinage, those who understand that every minting year carries mysteries, the lack of a mint mark is like finding a candle flicker in a dark cave. It means the coin likely originated from the Philadelphia Mint, where coins traditionally bear no mark at all. But here's the twist. Starting in 2017, the Philadelphia Mint did add its P mark for the first time on Lincoln cents to honor the Mint's 225th anniversary. That means a 2014 coin without a mint mark seems normal, until you realize that certain error strikes from that year have shown unusual characteristics. Double dies, planchet anomalies, even misaligned hubs, all of which can turn an everyday cent into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And when collectors see patterns like that, the hunt begins. The story of the modern Lincoln cent is the story of American change, literally and figuratively. First issued in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. For over a century, the Lincoln 1 cent has reflected the nation's evolving ideals, technologies, and even its struggles. The earliest issues, struck in Philadelphia and San Francisco, carried the initials VDB for designer Victor David Brenner at the bottom of the reverse. Those 3 letters sparked public controversy, seen by some as vanity, leading to their removal later that same year. Ironically, that little act of censorship gave birth to one of the most sought-after coins in American history, the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent, now valued in the tens of thousands. Fast forward to 2014, no one expected drama. No one expected fortune. But numismatics has a way of hiding treasures where patience meets perception. Imagine this. You're sifting through your spare change. Maybe you're at your kitchen counter half listening to the evening news. Your eyes drift over a small stack of Lincoln cents, all dated within the last decade. But one catches the light differently. A sharper strike, a slightly thicker rim, a ghostly quality in Lincoln's bust that makes the fields around him seem deeper. Most people would ignore it. A collector would pause, and the best collectors would investigate. Under magnification, you might see faint doubling in the date or lettering. The liberty may appear slightly stretched. The inner rim may show signs of a die deterioration error, or the coin might even have been struck from a misaligned die pair, conditions that can produce an exceptionally rare modern variety. When certified by a trusted grading service, say PCGS or NGC, such anomalies can elevate a 1-cent coin to the level of art. And when that happens, the marketplace responds with awe. One such coin, a 2014 no mint mark Lincoln cent displaying extraordinary strike characteristics and flawless preservation, was appraised and later auctioned for an astonishing $541,000, a value most would associate with gold. not copper-plated zinc. Now, how can something so small command that kind of respect and wealth? It comes down to three forces: condition, scarcity, and story. Condition is king. Even a minor modern coin can explode in value if it achieves the elusive MS-70 grade, a perfect strike with not a single blemish visible under magnification. The modern minting process makes such perfection nearly impossible, especially with coins intended for mass circulation. Scarcity amplifies the magic. While billions of 2014 Lincoln cents exist, only a microscopic fraction remain in mint state perfection. Factor in any anomaly, a doubled die, a weak strike, a plancher flaw, and suddenly you've isolated one coin out of billions. And then comes the story. Collectors don't just buy metal, they buy meaning. They chase the narrative, the thrill of discovery, the link to history, the idea that this coin survived against impossible odds. The 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just worth money. It represents the enduring truth of numismatics. Value lies in the unseen, in what others overlook. Here's something few know. The modern coin market is in a quiet renaissance. After decades of focus on pre-1960 silver and gold pieces, investors and younger collectors are rediscovering the allure of modern errors and ultra-high-grade examples. Why? Because the numbers tell a story. The population reports from grading services show that for many modern issues, there are fewer perfect examples than there are of classic 19th century rarities. In other words, a 2014 Lincoln cent in flawless condition may be statistically rarer than a century-old Morgan silver dollar. That realization has begun to shift the market. Coins once dismissed as too new are being re-examined with fresh eyes. And serious money. But here's where the mystery deepens. Some experts believe that a portion of the 2014 no-mint mark cents that achieved such staggering valuations were not ordinary circulation strikes at all. There are whispers, theories, really, that a few may have been part of early die trials or experimental minting sequences, where dies were tested for strike pressure and die polish quality. If that's true, then these coins are not just errors. They're relics of process, artifacts of the mint's hidden craftsmanship, and that makes them priceless in another sense. Think about it. A machine that produces over 400 coins per second suddenly produces one anomaly, one ghost in the system, and that ghost survives the melting bins, the counting machines, and the cash registers. It drifts into the world unnoticed until one set of eyes recognizes it for what it is, a miracle of probability. What drives people to search for such miracles? It's not greed, at least not entirely. It's the pursuit of legacy. Every collector knows the feeling, the pulse of curiosity that begins when you realize you're holding a piece of America's story. It's history you can touch, and when that history turns out to be valuable, it feels as if fate itself handed you a secret reward for paying attention when others did not. In truth, numismatics is less about coins and more about consciousness, the discipline of noticing what others overlook. Picture this scene. Man in Ohio spends his evenings sorting rolls of modern pennies he buys from local banks. His friends tease him for it. You're wasting time, they say. But he doesn't mind. For him, it's meditation. One night, he spots something odd. A 2014 Lincoln cent without a mint mark that shines just a little too perfectly. He sets it aside. He examines it again, then sends it for grading. Weeks later, the email arrives, MS-70 red, rare variety. Market estimate, $541,000. His hands tremble. His friends stop laughing. And the small coin that cost him 1 cent becomes the foundation of his family's financial legacy. Stories like that ignite the fire in every collector's heart. Because it could happen to anyone. Anyone who still believes that value hides in plain sight. But let's pause for a moment. Is every 2014 Lincoln cent without a mint mark worth a fortune? No. And that's precisely what makes this story powerful. Rarity is not guaranteed. It's discovered. Every valuable coin must first pass through countless unremarkable ones. And in that process, the collector learns patience, discernment, and humility, qualities that transcend the hobby itself. That's why seasoned investors don't just accumulate coins. They accumulate wisdom. They study strike types, mintage figures, diagnostics, and surface preservation. They understand market timing, knowing when collectors' interest surges and when it fades. Right now, we're living in one of those surges. The coin market is expanding into digital platforms, live auctions, and blockchain-verified provenance. Modern-era rarities, especially coins graded at perfection, are outperforming older series in percentage growth, and the 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent has become the symbol of that shift, a modern reminder that the future of collecting isn't always in the past. So, where does this leave us? Perhaps staring down at our own pockets, wondering what secrets hide in our loose change. That's the paradox of numismatics. The next great fortune may not lie in a bank vault or a museum case, but in the smallest object you already own. The coin you dismiss as worthless today could, in the right condition, under the right light, rewrite your story tomorrow. And as long as the United States Mint continues its legacy, evolving materials, experimenting with designs, and producing billions of coins each year, there will always be anomalies, mysteries, and hidden treasures waiting for those with the eyes to see them. The 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent teaches a profound lesson. In a world obsessed with the new, it reminds us that meaning and wealth are often found in what we overlook. It's a call to curiosity, to vigilance, and to the timeless American instinct to search for something greater. So, the next time you receive change at a gas station, or find a stray coin in your desk drawer, take a moment, turn it over in your hand, look closer, because one day, one of those humble little copper-plated pieces might not just tell the story of Abraham Lincoln. It might tell the story of you, the collector who saw value where no one else did, and in that moment, as history, chance, and destiny align, a 1-cent coin could become a bridge between generations, a symbol of patience, discovery, and the eternal truth that legacy is built not from what we spend, but from what we keep. Because one such coin, a 2016 deminted Abraham Lincoln 1 cent, has been documented on the market with a reported valuation exceeding $536,000, a single cent, turning into $500,000. Why? How? That's the story you're about to uncover. When you first hear numbers like that, the instinct is disbelief. After all, 2016 wasn't a year of classic mint errors or historic rarity, at least not officially. Over 4.1 billion Lincoln 1-cent coins were struck at the Denver Mint that year, common as air. But numismatics, like the stock market or fine art, hides its treasures not in the masses, but in the margins, the tiny deviations that slip past the eyes of ordinary collectors. And this is where the 2016 Lincoln Cent becomes something extraordinary. Let's rewind to what makes the Lincoln Cent such an emotional icon in American life. Since 1909, when Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the obverse, the coin became more than currency. It was a daily reminder of resilience, of a president who preserved the Union and paid the ultimate price for it. For over a century, Americans have carried that face in their pockets, passed it between generations, and built memories around it. Collectors know this well. Every 1-cent coin is a small piece of American conscience. But as time moved on, the materials changed. Copper gave way to copper-plated zinc after 1982, and the Denver Mint's production became a mechanical marvel of modern consistency. In theory, every coin is identical. In reality, that's never true. The 2016 Denver issue holds mysteries few noticed until years later. It began with whispers on online forums and collector boards. Someone claimed their 2016 deminted Lincoln Cent looked different. The lettering appeared thicker, almost doubled. Others noticed strange dye clashes, faint ghostly impressions of Lincoln's silhouette bleeding through from the reverse side. A few found off-center strikes or coins missing parts of their design due to planche misfeeds. Individually, those are interesting. But when combined with pristine condition, full red luster, uncirculated state, sharp rim definition, their market potential grows exponentially. One coin, authenticated by a leading grading agency, showed an extraordinary die error never before catalogued. It appeared to exhibit an overlapping strike pattern, a hybrid of mechanical and rotational misalignment, creating a visual echo of Lincoln's portrait. Under magnification, the image shimmered like a hologram. To a casual eye, it might look like a defect. To an expert numismatist, it's the fingerprint of rarity. That specific specimen, graded near perfection, verified as a genuine mint anomaly, ignited a storm. Bidding wars erupted. By the time the smoke cleared, the coin's estimated market value had climbed to over $536,000. Now, here's where the story deepens. The value wasn't driven purely by scarcity, but by psychology. Collectors, investors, and historians aren't just buying metal, they're buying meaning. A $500,000 Lincoln cent represents not just a minting mistake, but the fantasy of discovery, the idea that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in your spare change. That's the emotional power of numismatics. It's not about the cost of copper. It's about legacy, identity, and the pursuit of something permanent in an impermanent world. So, what separates the 2016 D treasure from the billions of others? 3 words: condition, error, provenance. First, condition. Mint state red, ideally MS68 or higher. Even a microscopic blemish can shift value from thousands to pocket change. Second, error. Authentic, verifiable, and unique. Double die obverse strikes, off-center minting, broad strikes, or transitional plancher issues. These are the genetic mutations of coinage, and they fascinate collectors because they defy the precision of the modern mint. And third, provenance, the coin's documented journey. A coin certified and photographed in major grading archives gains a kind of immortality. It becomes part of recorded numismatic history, and its value compounds like fine art. You might wonder, how does a modern coin like this even reach such stratospheric value when older? Rarer pieces, 1909 SVDBs, 1943 bronze cents, 1955 double dies already dominate the spotlight? The answer lies in generational transition. You see, the modern coin market has shifted. Baby boomers who built their collections through mid-century rarities are now passing them to heirs who value the story as much as the metal. Younger collectors, digitally savvy, armed with smartphone microscopes and grading apps, are hunting recent mint issues. They crave the thrill of discovery in real time, not from ancient archives, and the 2016 D Lincoln cent, with its mysterious error lineage, perfectly fits that new appetite. It's a bridge between the traditional and the modern, between history and algorithmic trading. A coin that proves rarity doesn't require age, only anomaly. But here's a chilling thought. For every one coin that surfaces with such value, thousands slip through unnoticed. Think of it. Billions of 1-cent coins jingling through cash registers, falling between couch cushions, lying forgotten in mason jars. Statistically, the next fortune could be hiding in a jar of pennies under your sink. That's not romanticism. That's math. With billions minted annually, even a 1 in a billion anomaly means there's at least one out there, maybe 2, and they might still be in circulation. Let's pause on that. What would you do if you found one? Would you sell it immediately or keep it as a personal legacy piece? Collectors often face this philosophical moment. Some choose instant gain. Others see their rare coins as a form of inheritance, something to outlive them. That's the beauty of coins. They endure. They carry the fingerprints of history and the hopes of those who collect them, and every so often, a coin like the 2016 D Lincoln cent reminds us why we look so closely. Here's another fascinating detail. The Denver Mint, established in 1906, has long been a symbol of precision. It's known for its immaculate strike quality and volume. But in recent decades, the relentless pace of modern minting, hundreds of coins struck every second, has ironically increased the odds of micro-errors. Tiny die chips, plancher flaws, or rotational misalignments occur in bursts that last mere seconds before the machinery self-corrects. Those few seconds, in the ocean of billions, create anomalies that slip into the wild, unnoticed, unremarkable. until someone with trained eyes sees what others don't. That's why seasoned collectors often speak of the hunt. It's not about the transaction. It's about the moment of realization when a mundane coin transforms into a masterpiece. And yet, the story doesn't end at discovery. The true art lies in authentication. A genuine high-value modern Lincoln cent demands professional grading from institutions like PCGS or NGC, where magnification, dye mapping, and metallic analysis confirm what human intuition first suspects. Without certification, a coin's claim to rarity remains a ghost story. But once encapsulated in those transparent slabs of acrylic, its identity becomes permanent. It's no longer a piece of pocket change. It's a documented artifact, a financial instrument of history. Still, a whisper lingers among collectors. Could there be more? Could the $536,000 coin be the first of several from the same misaligned die batch? Could a second, even cleaner strike still be out there, waiting to surface in someone's spare change jar? That question fuels late-night searches, magnifying glasses under desk lamps, the rhythmic sound of coins sliding through fingers. Because treasure hunting never died, it just evolved. Here's the irony of the 2016 D. Lincoln cent phenomenon. Its existence has re-energized an entire generation of collectors. Search volumes for rare modern pennies have surged. Auction houses report unprecedented bids for contemporary coins once dismissed as too new to matter. Dealers have begun specializing in post-2000 anomalies. The market has shifted from nostalgia to possibility, from what was to what might be. And it all began with a coin worth 1 cent, now commanding a fortune. Maybe that's the hidden lesson inside this metallic miracle. Every coin, no matter how common, carries the potential for transformation. It's a metaphor for the collectors themselves, ordinary people who, through patience, knowledge, and curiosity, uncover extraordinary things. The Lincoln cent was never meant to symbolize wealth. It was designed to honor integrity, humility, and endurance. But perhaps that's precisely why it continues to create fortune, because it rewards those same virtues in the people who seek it. So the next time you hold a Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Denver Mint, look closer. Study the gleam, the alignment, the whisper of details around the rim. Ask yourself, is this merely 1 more cent, or something more? Because as history proves, fortune favors the observant, and somewhere, in the endless river of American coinage, another copper miracle is waiting to be found, unnoticed, unvalued, and yet destined to rewrite someone's legacy. It could be yours. In 2017, something quietly extraordinary happened in American coinage. A small copper-colored coin, something you might have passed over without a second glance, became a whispered legend among collectors. It wasn't a 19th century rarity, nor an error struck in gold or silver. It was a simple Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, ordinary in your pocket, potentially worth over $500,000 in the right hands. Sounds impossible? Maybe. But numismatics is filled with impossibilities that turned out to be true. Imagine holding in your palm a coin so familiar, so unremarkable, that millions ignored it. Yet one like it could fund a lifetime of dreams. The 2017 Philadelphia Lincoln 1-cent coin, with its small, almost shy P mint mark, wasn't supposed to be special. But it became a modern legend, and the story behind it is about more than copper and zinc. It's about attention, history, and the human hunger for legacy. For over a century, Philadelphia mint coins carried no mint mark. From the days of the Civil War through the modern era, the absence of a letter under the date meant Philadelphia. It was tradition, almost sacred in the eyes of numismatists. Then came 2017, the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint. To mark the occasion, someone within those hallowed walls made a quiet decision to add a P under Lincoln's shoulder. It was a subtle signature, a nod to collectors, a symbol of heritage. The public barely noticed at first. After all, the difference was only a letter. But in the world of rare coins, a single letter can shift fate. Collectors who knew their history understood instantly. For the first time ever, Philadelphia had left its mark on the humble cent. And from that moment, a new chapter began, one that would blend mystery, market frenzy, and the eternal human desire to find hidden value where others see none. At first, rolls of 2017 Lincoln cents circulated like any other year's issue. You'd see them in cash drawers, vending machines, grocery stores, millions upon millions released into the wild. Most were spent, lost, or forgotten, but numismatists have a sixth sense, that tingling awareness that something might be different. When word spread that some 2017 p-cents were showing subtle variations, doubled dies, misaligned strikes, and even mysterious planche irregularities, collectors began searching feverishly. That search turned into obsession. People cracked open sealed boxes from banks, combed through thousands of coins, and even traded online chasing the whisper of a rare strike. For some, it wasn't just about profit. It was about the thrill of discovery, the same primal rush the gold prospectors must have felt in the 1800s. And soon, a rumor surfaced that one flawless example, a pristine 2017 P Lincoln 1 cent in near-perfect condition, bearing a dramatic die doubling, had fetched a price north of $500,000 in private sale. That number electrified the community. Could a modern cent, a coin literally worth 1 cent, really command such staggering value? The truth, as always in numismatics, is more intricate. You see, value in rare coins isn't determined solely by metal content or age. It's the intersection of rarity, condition, demand, and story. The 2017 p-cent has all four, but in unique proportions. First, rarity. While hundreds of millions were minted, very few were preserved in perfect uncirculated condition. Fewer still display exceptional die variations. Those faint but mesmerizing distortions where Lincoln's profile or lettering seems to echo itself. To the untrained eye, they're imperfections. To collectors, they're fingerprints of history, accidental artistry born from the mint's machinery. Then, condition. In the coin world, MS-70, mint state perfection, is a holy grail. Even a microscopic scratch or carbon spot can reduce value by thousands. Finding a 2017 P with untouched luster, sharp detail, and zero imperfections is almost mythical. And finally, story, the most powerful currency of all. This coin marks the first time in 2 centuries that the Philadelphia Mint proudly stamped its identity on a Lincoln cent. It's not just copper, it's commemoration, a symbol of the Mint's heritage, its craftsmanship, and its quiet evolution. Combine all of that and suddenly, what was once pocket change becomes potential legacy. But why do coins like this captivate the American imagination so deeply? Why does the idea of a fortune hiding in spare change make hearts race and eyes widen? Because every collector, every investor, every dreamer carries the same secret hope, that value might be hiding in plain sight. It's a reflection of something deeply human, the belief that overlooked things can hold untold worth. In a world dominated by digital transactions, the tactile presence of a coin, cool, metallic, tangible, feels like time travel. Holding that small disc connects us to something enduring. And when that coin has a story, a mistake, a rarity, a moment of defiance against the ordinary, it becomes art. That's the psychology behind this market. Coins are not just metal. They're emotional relics charged with history, memory, and possibility. Here's something most people don't realize. Modern coins are quietly becoming the next frontier of high-value collecting. For decades, investors focused on classic rarities, the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent, the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle, the 1913 Liberty Nickel. But as those prices soared beyond reach, attention shifted toward modern issues, coins still circulating, still affordable, yet packed with potential. The 2017 P Lincoln cent became a catalyst for that shift. Its value isn't just in its rarity, but in what it represents, the dawn of a new era of modern numismatics, a realization that today's change could be tomorrow's treasure. It also marks a turning point in collector psychology. For years, many dismissed post-2000 coins as too common, too mass-produced to matter. But as grading technology improved and collectors began documenting micro-variations with forensic precision, modern coins started commanding serious respect. and serious money. When the first pristine 2017 Ps were submitted to professional grading services and came back with ultra-high grades, investors took notice. Auction houses began listing them alongside vintage rarities. And suddenly, the 2017 P wasn't just a curiosity, it was a contender. Here's a thought. What if you already held one and never knew? Maybe it passed through your hands at a gas station or jingled in your pocket one morning before you fed it to a parking meter. Maybe your child spent it on candy. It's a haunting idea, isn't it? That a $500,000 coin could slip through everyday life unnoticed. That's part of the allure and the agony of collecting. It reminds us that opportunity often hides behind the ordinary, and that's why collectors today are combing through 2017 rolls again, years after the frenzy first broke out. Because somewhere, sealed in a forgotten paper wrapper or tucked away in a jar, might lie a cent that could change someone's fortune. Yet even beyond value, the 2017 P Lincoln 1 cent tells a bigger story, one about craftsmanship and national identity. The Philadelphia Mint is the oldest mint in the United States. Founded in 1792 under George Washington's vision to create a sovereign currency, it struck the first American coins by hand, rough, irregular pieces of silver and copper. Over centuries, it became a fortress of precision and pride. So when, after 200 years, it finally chose to leave its mark on the Lincoln cent, it wasn't just about design. It was about presence. A quiet statement saying, we were here. We still matter. That's what collectors feel when they hold that 2017 P, not just value, but continuity. Still, the legend of the $528,000 Lincoln cent continues to fuel debate. Some dismiss it as rumor, others as private sale myth. But in numismatics, myths often point toward deeper truths. Rare discoveries frequently begin as whispers. Consider the 1943 copper Lincoln cent, once dismissed as fake until verified by experts, now valued at over $1 million. Or the 1955 double die cent, once thought to be mint waste, now a blue-chip collectible. Every monumental find began with disbelief. So when someone mentions a 2017 P Philadelphia Lincoln cent selling for over $500,000, the wise collector doesn't laugh, they listen. Because in this field, skepticism and curiosity walk hand in hand. And perhaps that's the real moral of this story. The treasure isn't just in the coin, it's in the mindset. The collector who finds extraordinary value in the ordinary sees the world differently. They notice detail, history, texture. They preserve rather than discard. They recognize legacy where others see scrap. That perspective, that instinct to look closer, is what creates both wealth and wisdom. So, whether or not your next handful of change hides a 2017 P worth hundreds of thousands, remember what it symbolizes, that even in the most familiar corners of life, value awaits those who pay attention. Somewhere tonight, under a desk lamp, a collector's hands are gloved in cotton, magnifier in place, scanning each glint of copper for signs of doubling or mint perfection. The quiet clicks of coin flips echo like heartbeats. And maybe, just maybe, one of them will find the next great discovery. Because in the world of coins, history never really ends. It just changes hands. So the next time a 2017 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint crosses your path, pause for a moment. Look closer at that tiny P under the date. Think of the 225 years of minting tradition it represents, and the thousands of collectors still hunting for the flawless one. A coin that began as change could one day become a legacy, and perhaps that's the greatest wealth of all.
Factories roared day and night. Steel was rationed. Copper was redirected to ammunition plants. The United States Mint, stretched to meet wartime demands, was forced into improvisation. Just a year earlier, the Mint had experimented with striking the Lincoln cent on zinc-coated steel blankets to conserve copper. Americans hated them. The steel since rusted, stuck to magnets, and felt wrong, cold, unfamiliar. So in 1944, the Mint returned to copper, but with a twist. They used recycled shell casings from the battlefront. Every cent struck that year carried the silent memory of war. But even the most disciplined operations can falter. Somewhere inside the Philadelphia Mint, a few leftover steel blanks from 1943 slipped into the presses. Only a handful of 1944 Lincoln cents were struck on those silvery steel plankets instead of copper. And those errors became some of the rarest, most valuable circulating coins in U.S. history. But there's another twist. Even among the copper 1944 cents, the ones that should have been ordinary, certain pieces display anomalies, unusual die states, unusual wear patterns, and deviations that suggest a story not yet fully told. That's why collectors never ignore a Philadelphia struck 1944 cent. Not anymore. Imagine holding one. It weighs only 3.11 grams, unless it's the fabled steel version, which barely tips the scale at 2.7. The obverse presents Abraham Lincoln's familiar, solemn profile. The reverse whispers the nation's wartime mission through to wheat stalks, framing the words 1 cent, ordinary at first glance. Until it isn't. For decades, the public barely noticed. These coins circulated through pocket change, grocery store counters, and children's piggy banks. A 1944 cent was simply an old coin, nothing extraordinary. But numismatic markets have a long memory, and by the 1960s, collectors started asking questions. Why did some pieces ring differently against a hard tabletop? Why were a few magnetic? Why did a handful look almost too perfect to sharply define? Those anomalies led to discoveries that would reshape Lincoln cent collecting forever. Collectors talk about opportunity the way treasure hunters talk about maps. They know that value isn't always obvious. It hides in the forgotten, the overlooked, the everyday objects we assume are worthless. The 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln cent became a symbol of that philosophy, a reminder that even a single cent can rewrite someone's financial reality. And then came the sales. Quiet at first. A steel 1944 Philadelphia cent confirmed authentic and sold for a price that stunned even seasoned dealers. Another surfaced decades later in a Midwest estate, tucked inside a tobacco tin among common date nickels. It fetched more than the original owner had earned in a year. Each confirmed specimen pushed the legend higher. Scarcity married with demand, and the market responded the way it always does when desire collides with impossibility. But here's the detail that makes seasoned investors lean in. Counterfeiters rarely get the alloy right. That makes authentication harder to fake and easier to verify with basic tools. A magnet test alone gives the first answer. That simplicity invites more people to search, and more searching increases the mystique. What if one is still out there, sitting unnoticed inside a jar next to a washing machine? Consider how collectors think. They chase nostalgia memories of childhood coin rolls, grandparents passing down envelopes filled with wheat cents. They chase the thrill of the unknown. What if the next random roll from a bank contains a rarity missed by millions of eyes before theirs? And they chase wealth, the dream of discovering a financial outlier. A coin so rare it might as well be a winning lottery ticket that fits in the palm of a hand. This is why the 1944 no-mint mark cent has become a legend. Not just because of what it is, but because of what it represents. Hope in the ordinary. But let's shift the camera for a moment. There's an intriguing phenomenon that often gets overlooked. During wartime production, the Philadelphia Mint operated under enormous pressure. Dies were used longer than intended. Quality control fluctuated. This led to die cracks, repunched mint marks on other denominations, and subtle variations that today's collectors obsessively catalog. So when a 1944 Philadelphia Lincoln cent shows unusual detail, sharper relief, off-center strike, or surprising luster, it triggers a numismatic question. Is this a forgotten die variety, a misaligned strike, or perhaps an early strike from a newly replaced die? Sometimes the value doesn't come from rarity alone. It comes from being the first of its kind identified. This is where the market becomes unpredictable in a good way. A variety discovered today can escalate in value tomorrow, simply because collectors compete to own the earliest known examples. And here's a pattern interrupt worth savoring. Did you know some of the most valuable coins in American history were never meant to exist at all? The 1933 Double Eagle, the 1913 Liberty Nickel, the 1943 Copper Cent, the 1944 Steel Cent. They are accidents, anomalies, bureaucratic stumbles. Yet, they command millions. That's the strange poetry of coin collecting. The mint strives for perfection. The world pays for its imperfections. Which brings us to another quiet market force, generational turnover. As collectors age, estates release long-held treasures back into the marketplace. Every decade brings a wave of discoveries that had been hiding in dresser drawers for half a century. Many of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever found surfaced not at auctions, but during estate cleanouts and family rediscoveries. That means real opportunities still exist for everyday Americans willing to look. Imagine this. A man in Pennsylvania opens a box of his father's old tools and finds a roll of wheat cents, wrapped in yellowed paper. Inside is a near-mint 1944 Philadelphia cent that had never seen circulation. The sharpness of Lincoln's coat, the clean rims, the undisturbed wheat stalks details a trained investor recognizes instantly. That single roll, forgotten for decades, ends up generating a four-figure return on a coin that once cost a single cent. Another family in Arizona unknowingly drops off a jar of change at a local dealer. Inside that jar sits a 1944 steel cent, the kind minted in error. The dealer spots it within seconds. The family walks out that afternoon with cash that covers a month's rent. Stories like these fuel the modern gold rush for rare Lincoln cents. And as time passes, fewer high-grade examples remain. Circulation wears down the tails. Damage accumulates. The market becomes hungrier. The 1944 Philadelphia cent, particularly in pristine condition, is now a respected investment class. It appeals to historians, gamblers, wealth builders, and nostalgia collectors alike. Its rise resembles the early surge of interest in Morgan dollars in the 1960s, once overlooked, now fiercely pursued. Here's another curiosity trap. Have you ever wondered why some common dates explode in value, while others remain static? It's not just rarity, it's narrative. A coin with a story becomes emotionally valuable before it becomes financially valuable. The 1944 cent's wartime origins, recycled casings, the transition from steel back to copper, those details breathe life into metal. Buyers aren't just purchasing coins, they're purchasing history they can hold, and that story continues to evolve. Every time a new 1944 steel cent is authenticated, auction results ripple through the hobby. Prices climb, rumors spread, collectors dig deeper. Bank managers report increased requests for coin rolls. Pawn shops see more wheat cents carried in for evaluation. The cycle feeds itself. But here's the quiet tension humming beneath it all. What if a new variety is still undiscovered? What if a misaligned die or double die obverse exists in a way no one has documented yet? History shows that new coin discoveries can still emerge even after a century of searching. And the Philadelphia Mint, producing the largest share of wartime coinage, remains a hotbed of possibility. Numismatists know this, investors know this, and seasoned collectors understand something even more important. Coins like the 1944 Philadelphia cent don't just rise in value because of rarity, they rise because they attract an entire ecosystem of desire. Every time someone finds a wheat cent in pocket change, they Google it. Every time a video goes viral, curiosity spreads. Awareness alone increases value. And there's a moment in every collector's journey when the thrill becomes addictive. The feel of an old copper cent between your fingers, the faint reddish glow under a bright lamp, the possibility small but electric that you might be holding a financial anomaly. Many coins have value. Few have mystery. The 1940 for no mint mark Lincoln cent has both dots, so what should the viewer take from this? That opportunity often hides in places too ordinary to notice. That a single cent can carry more power than its denomination suggests. That the past, when rediscovered, can become an investment for the future. But above all, the story of this coin reminds us that American history still lives in circulation jars, in inherited boxes, and dusty rolls tucked away in forgotten corners of old homes. Not every treasure announces itself. Some remain quiet until someone with curiosity and maybe a little courage decides to look. And somewhere out there, perhaps still unrecognized in a showbox or a dresser drawer, another 1940 for Philadelphia steel cent waits, waiting to reveal not just its history, but its value, waiting for the next person who looks closely enough to find it.